Your new album, you approached it differently. I know, especially as far as the samples, and you guys were able to be more creative with them. What was the process like working with those?
The power samples.
Yeah, this like the multi-tracked and like you had more freedom with that.
Oh,
or?
totally. Yeah, it allowed us to like explore different areas of that kind of music that we've never been able to do before. Getting separated tracks, getting stems like that is something you don't really hear when it comes to drum music. So like, we were so stoked to do it because it was, you know, we can separate the vocals and chop them up the way we want to without having to chop up the drums at the same time as usual.
You guys are working on the album at the height of Idle No More. It feels like there's kind of a cohesion to the album in that sense. Did the whole Idle No More thing kind of give you guys a little bit of a line to follow?
It couldn't help but affect what we were doing. I mean, things were exploding in Ottawa during the time we were producing the album. So just the whole feel of the city, you know, there being so many more Aboriginal people around in the city, you know, just all the people who came in for the protests and for the actions, they're just, I don't know, you could feel it.
We're gonna get right into it. If y'all ready to party, make some noise!
You guys went to Europe and toured over there. How is your music received over there? How's the message received? I mean, they don't have the same issues as far as, I mean, I don't know that there's many First Nations people in Europe. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely, the message of the show changes when we're not playing to an Aboriginal audience. And I mean, I guess like that goes for Canada as well, but you know, it's definitely more apparent when we play in Europe that it's about, you know, showing who we are now, showing what our culture is in 2013. And you know, just I guess the education part of it goes a lot deeper. You know, when we do these kind of interviews in Europe, we have to start way further back, you know, and explain a lot more because people aren't aware at all. Whereas, you know, here people are semi-aware.
You guys got nominated again for the Polaris. What's the difference this time? Does it feel more important?
And you know, being in the same company as like Tegan and Sarah, and like last year like Leonard Cohen and stuff like that, is just unbelievable. It's such a unbelievable feeling to be compared to people like that in Canada.
To be recognized as something that's culturally relevant.
Yeah.
I know that you're quite vocal about things like structural racism, like names of sports teams and stuff, and I know that recently in Ottawa they changed that team they were going to have.
The Tomahawks.
Yeah. Do you think that it's because there's a lot more visibility, or do you think people are just kind of finally coming to their senses?
See, I think people are finally coming to their senses because when that came out, I didn't even know we were getting a team, and I was walking my daughter home from school and I got a phone call from CBC being like, "What do you think of the new name?" And I was like, I had no idea what they're talking about. And then I was like, "Oh, well, what's the name?" And they're like, "Oh, our new basketball team." I was like, "We're getting an NBA team?" They're like, "No, something else." And it's like, you know, what do you think of the name? I was like, "Well, I don't know what the name is." They're like, "It's the Tomahawks." I was like, "That sucks." And I had to like explain why it sucked live on air with like, that was my reaction to what was going on. So these people are looking for reactions, and they're looking like they see something that you know might be racist, and they're turning to Aboriginal people for the first time to be like, "What do you think of this?" It's a good step in the right direction.
We started this for our community, and that's where it had to come from, and that's where the support had to come from to make this possible. But the fact that it's moved beyond that, and the fact that non-Aboriginal people, none of us expected the reaction that non-Aboriginal people had to remixing powwow music, and that becomes this really elegant way to start a conversation in a non-verbal way. You know, trying to create that understanding between especially the settler nations in Canada and the Aboriginal nations is really difficult. So if you can start to feel the same thing that we feel from our music, you know, there's an understanding starting there. I think that's a really powerful tool and stepping stone towards a greater understanding.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, dude.